We're joined on the line right now by another very special guest, a good friend of Breitbart News, Corey Lewandowski. He was President Trump's campaign manager during the course of the roughest parts of the primary when everybody in the political class and the mainstream media and the establishment media all doubted that he was going to make it there, and now he's president of the United States. They were all wrong. Corey was right. Corey, thanks for joining us tonight on Breitbart News Sunday.
It is great to be with you, Matt.
So we heard from President Trump the other morning, on Friday morning at CPAC, at the American Conservative Union Conservative Political Action Conference. He delivered what I would argue is perhaps maybe even his best speech as president, definitely top three if you include the two speeches before Congress, the State of the Union and the joint session speech in his first couple months as president. He walked through his accomplishments and really issued a call to arms for the conservative movement moving forward. What did you think of the president's speech on Friday morning?
I thought the president on Friday was he delivered the type of message which helped him turn the hearts and minds of the American people to show why he's such a great leader. See, if the president doesn't go out and talk about all the victories that he has and that he's achieved in the first 14 months of this administration, the mainstream media won't do it. So he has to do it to call the attention to his success. But more than that, he was self-deprecating. He was on and off the teleprompter, which I happen to love when he's like that. Mm-hmm. He's authentic. He's genuine. That speech on Friday at CPAC showed a side of Donald Trump which invigorates the conservatives. It brings the young people in. They were enamored. He spoke for about 80 minutes, and nobody wanted him to stop. I love the speech at CPAC this week.
Mm-hmm. Now, Corey, there was a news story out earlier this week from our friends over at Axios that you had been in the Oval Office. You'd met with the president. I know you meet with him and talk to him on the regular ahead of the speech. Can you tell us, first off, how's he doing? As what can you tell us about you talking with the president?
I had the privilege, Matt, and believe me, I know it's a privilege to spend some time talking with the president this week. I never take that for granted. And look, I can tell you I saw him, and he talked a lot about the horrific tragedy which took place down in Florida and what we need to make sure that never occurs again. Talked about hardening our schools so that we don't have these gun-free zones, making sure that there are people who can fight back. He talked a lot about that and a lot about ways to make sure that when we send our children off to school, they come home safe and sound every single day. And he takes that responsibility very, very seriously. But he also talked about how well the economy is doing, and he and I talked a lot about, where the country is going and what I thought. And, he just asked me some questions of where I thought the country was going and where his policies were. And I told him that, the issues that he has focused on, which is the largest tax cut in our nation's history, are paying real dividends. We've seen hundreds of companies and tens of millions of people seeing the dividends in their checks, getting more money in their checks every 2 weeks or every week, and that's so important. Our economy is strong. He's rebuilding our military, and we talked about the difference that a leader like Donald Trump has made in pushing Congress to get things done. And look, what I have said, and what my book has been about, is let Trump be Trump. Give him the opportunity to go out and talk about his message directly to the American people, and when he can do that, he is more successful than ever, in my opinion. And
so now, Corey, there's a lot of talk this month that, and President Trump, I think it was last week or the week before, had, done a big panel at the White House where he was talking about different potential tariffs on and quotas with regard to Chinese steel and aluminum dumping. There's a lot of talk that that's going to ramp up here pretty soon. I know that was a huge theme of the 2016 campaign, and I know people are, in our steel and aluminum industries in our Rust Belt across the country are really desperate for more relief. Where do you think he's headed on this? Do you think he's going to move? There's been a lot of reporting out there that he's going to likely go forward with the recommendations as laid out by the Commerce Department. And there's now new reports out that Peter Navarro may be promoted in the White House. He's the author of Death by China, has been advocating for this as well. Do you think that the president moves in that direction where he gets tougher and tougher on the Chinese on this and other fronts?
I think so. And what you heard from the president during the campaign and what you've now seen from the president as the president in the last 14 months is an individual who wants to make sure we're manufacturing back here in the United States. And what he has said is if we can't get a fair deal on NAFTA, he's willing to relook at if it is still beneficial to the United States. If we can't get a fair deal, and he engaged on a tariff issue on washing machines and solar and the solar industry. He's going to bring jobs back. And if other countries are dumping their products on U.S. soil because they're subsidizing them, whether that's steel or aluminum or anything else, this president has been very clear. We're going to have fair trade. It's not going to be free trade. It's going to be fair trade. But we're going to have a level playing field. And what I think you'll see the president do is continue to let other countries know that we are the biggest economy in the world, but we're not going to be taken advantage of. And if that means tariffs have to be put in place so that our manufacturers can produce and compete in the global marketplace, this is a president who is putting America first. And it is a huge dichotomy from where the previous administration was. They let other countries take advantage of the fact that they were subsidizing companies and putting their products on our soil. This president is not going to do that. He wants manufacturing to take place in this country, which is American jobs. So if other countries are subsidizing companies to put their products in, steel, aluminum, or other things, this president's going to try and put a stop to it.
So, Corey, I want to switch gears just a little bit and ask you about the midterms. There's, of course, a battle up ahead. The conservative movement just rallied behind Trump at CPAC, but, of course, there is this rising movement on the other side, the resistance, the left. What can we do to fight them? Like, what do the conservatives need to do to hold the House?
Well, the first thing, and look, the House is really ground zero. We've got 35, I think, Republican members who are either not seeking re-election or are seeking election to a different office. So they're retiring or seeking other office. And the problem with that becomes it gives Democrats opportunities to pick up seats that Republicans probably would have continued to hold, and I think specifically of seats in California, in districts that Hillary Clinton won, the Ed Royce district out there, maybe Darrell Iss's seat. If Duncan Jr. decides that he doesn't run, that's going to be another difficult seat. Mm-hmm. And so we have those problems. Then you look at states like Virginia, states that have fundamentally changed in the election cycle over the last 10 years. And you look at seats like Barbara Comstock's and David Bratt's, and even down in the Virginia Beach area where we've got a district, that could be a state that sees Republicans lose if this is a wave election. So first and foremost, we have to make sure we're recruiting good, solid candidates. Number two, we have to make sure we're raising money. And what I think you're going to see in the near term, going right up through the November election, is the president is going to be on the road. Look, we have to look at Pennsylvania 18 as a potential bellwether. We understand that that's a seat that has been in a Republican-held seat since the year 2000. The president won that district by 20 points, and right now they'll race out in the special election in Pennsylvania 18, which is in the suburbs of in Pittsburgh, is nip and tuck. It is a race right now that could go either way, and the new map, which the Pennsylvania legislature has now challenged and the court has ruled on, is going to very much change the way that the congressional districts are apportioned in that state. So Pennsylvania 18, the election is March 16th. That's going to be a critical race for the Republicans. And look, we've had some challenges. We lost in Virginia for the governor's race. We lost in New Jersey for the governor's race. When those things happen, I don't want to say it is a solid indicator of what is to come, but Republicans had better be focused because the Democrats right now are very, very focused. And the Democratic Senatorial Committee actually raised more money in the month of December than the Republican Senatorial Committee did, and that's a problem.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, and I think there's a big battle that looms ahead. So for that battle, Corey, I know one of the things that you are very, very open about is that, and this is the title of your book with Dave Bossie, is Let Trump Be Trump, right? How do we get Trump back to that? How does he – I think he was very open at CPAC.
He was like that at CPAC,
right, he was very open at CPAC, but how do we keep him focused on that front where he is able to do the things that he wants to do? Because when Trump is Trump, when you let Trump be Trump, he's successful, and then the movement's successful, the party's successful. How do we do that?
Look, Matt, you're exactly right, and I love to say let Trump be Trump. I love to see him out speaking extemporaneously. I love him when he's out and he's on and off the teleprompter. That's what won him the election. And I think what you'll see is this president fully understands the importance of keeping his agenda moving forward, which means keeping majorities of Republicans in both the House and the Senate. And, I don't have any inside information on this, but I think that what you'll see coming down here in the next few months is the president will most likely end up on the road campaigning in key battleground states, in states where you've got competitive Senate races like Ohio and Pennsylvania and North Dakota and Florida, but you also have competitive congressional races. And so you get the 2-for-1. So if you're out campaigning for Lou Barletta, or if you're in Ohio and if he's campaigning for Jim Renacci or whoever he gets involved with, you're also campaigning in congressional districts that are competitive, because the president is the greatest draw. He has really taken over the Republican Party. As you know, we did it by storm. They didn't hand us the keys to the building. Donald Trump came in, took over the Republican Party, is firmly in control of it, and understands fundamentally that if the Democrats take over the House, I am fully confident that Speaker Pelosi, if she is elected as Speaker, will move to impeach the president, and as one of the very, very first things they do. That is what is on Speaker Pelosi's agenda if she becomes the Speaker in the next session of Congress. So conservatives cannot sit by the wayside. They cannot write off the midterm elections. They cannot decide that they don't want to be involved. It is a critical, critical election if we like the direction of the country that's going. And if we do, we have to make sure President Trump has support in Congress to move that agenda forward.
And Corey, the last thing I wanted to ask you about is that we saw this at CPAC this year, I think, which was really, really exciting with the conference that just wrapped up, is that the core ideas that President Trump campaigned on, that you were there right at the forefront of all of this stuff, whether it be trade, whether it be immigration, whether it be dealing with China, and the core economic nationalism stuff is now at the forefront of the movement. We had a story that Trump had completed his hostile takeover of the Republican Party. Politico wrote the same thing. It seems like I know there were some times where you had differences between some parts of the conservative movement and President Trump. Those are gone now. There is unity behind President Trump. How does it feel looking back on all of that?
You know, it's amazing, Matt. I look back today, and 3 years ago today, the Washington Post actually wrote a story that said Donald Trump may actually be running for president. And I remember reading in that story, because it was reposted today.
I remember when they all said he wasn't.
Well, no, it was amazing. It was one of the first stories that said he may actually run. But what they said was, there's one of these geniuses, and I use that term pejoratively, who said, Donald Trump's not a real candidate. He's one of these, establishment type guys. But look, those days are over, and what Donald Trump has brought is he's talking about immigration. He's talking about E-Verify. He's getting the wall done. He's securing our borders, right? He's talking about things that nobody else in the Republican Party was talking about, and he's making it a priority for this Congress to build the wall. When he starts talking about workfare as opposed to welfare, which means able-bodied people go to work if they want food stamps and health benefits. When he talks about helping paid family medical leave, it's a home run, right? These are the issues that Donald Trump and only Donald Trump can bring. And the other thing that he will do is he's going to, I think, draw a clear difference between what Nancy Pelosi as the minority leader, where the direction she wants to take the country, and where the Republicans want to take the country. And if he makes that case and he makes it in public, Donald Trump wins every single time, because he now has the unity of the Republican Party behind him. They support him, and they are fully focused on keeping the majorities in this midterm election cycle.
All right. Well, Corey Lewandowski, President Trump's campaign manager. Corey, where can people go to get a copy of Let Trump Be Trump, the book by you and Dave Bossie?
Look, hopefully Amazon finally stocked it. They only boycott us for about 20 days because I think Bezos hates us. But we still made the New York Times bestseller list for 6 weeks. So Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, anywhere where decent books are sold. Let Trump Be Trump, the rise of his presidency, the true inside story of what took place.
All right. Well, that's Corey Lewandowski. He was President Trump's campaign manager. Thank you so much tonight for joining us on Breitbart News Sunday. We're going to take a quick commercial break.